Thursday, September 15, 2011. This is MercedesDieselGuy, and I'm here to talk to you about a possible oil pressure problem on my 1991 VW Vanagon. I recently did a lot of repairs, including fixing oil leaks and installing new oil pressure sensors, and I took it out for its first real long drive this past weekend, and it was dark on the way back at operating temperature and highway speed. The oil pressure light blinked and the buzzer went off, so pulled it over, shut it off, checked, plenty of oil in it, started it up again, and it behaved just fine. So I drove the last 30 miles home, and as I was getting off the highway, it started acting up again. I noticed if I put it into neutral and gave it some more gas, the light would go out, meaning that the sensor seems to be reading properly, and that by raising the RPMs I raised the oil pressure and the van no longer sensed a problem. So I've got one of two things happening here, either a false reading off that sensor or a real oil pressure problem. If it's a real oil pressure problem, there are two likely culprits here. Sorry. One of them is the oil filter I'm using. Since I've had the van, I've used almost exclusively the Fram PH2870A filter, and I've never had a problem with it before in 8 years, 36,000 miles, but 36,000 miles worth of oil changes isn't all that much. It's possible I just got lucky so far. So upon the recommendation of others online, I've ordered the correct German oil filter for this van, and it is the Moly OC108 filter. And if I can get this to focus on this small print here, you can see it's got the maybe I can't, but it's got the VW part number kind of right here. So, and this is what the correct filter looks like. So this is going to be one thing I'm installing this weekend. I've got to drain out the oil to do all this work, so I may as well do everything all at once. A new filter, quite possibly a new high pressure sensor, and what I'm also going to do is actually add an oil pressure gauge to the dashboard, because the monitoring system doesn't give you a number, it just tells you whether or not there's a problem. If the system fails, it gives you a false reading of a problem, and that may be what's happening now, but more likely I actually have a problem. Once again, most likely, if it's a problem, it's the oil filter, and if not, slightly less likely, the engine is just worn out and past its prime and just won't hold oil pressure anymore. So I'm hoping that's not the case. We'll see what happens. Wish me luck. I'll do more video of all that this weekend. But by installing a gauge, I'll get an actual numerical reading of the pressure, and I can just compare that against what the factory specification is. And if it's still within specification, all is good. If not, that means that the engine is worn out, and it's probably time for me to park it, take the plates off, and then start planning for my Subaru conversion, which is something I've been meaning to do for a long time. But I didn't want to. But my philosophy with the van has always been to, keep the original engine running as long as I could and not do an unnecessary engine swap, because I didn't see any reason for that. I do love the van mostly pretty much the way it is, but when that engine goes, I've had a lot of experience with them. We've had the Vanagons in my family. My parents have had them since 1985. I've had mine now since 2003. So this is nothing new to me. I'm really familiar with all their problems and quirks, and I just plain don't like the Volkswagen water boxer engine. They basically took the air-cooled engine they had at the end of the 70s and kind of water-cooled it almost as an afterthought. And there have been, and I don't think it was engineered properly, and it just displays too many problems at too low a mileage for me to consider it a really good engine. So If I have to replace it, I'm going to put in a Subaru engine. And there's a lot of other engine conversions to consider. I actually don't want another Volkswagen engine in there, water boxer or Volkswagen inline, because the inline engines, a lot of people report problems with harmonic vibration through the van's chassis and more annoyance than anything, but I wouldn't want that. Another good option for the conversion is the Boss Tig Ford Z-Tech conversion, and I've seen those in person, and I've actually met the guys who founded and run the company, and they're good guys, and their hardware is top-notch. I can't fault it. But for me, since I've had so much experience now with the Subaru EJ22 engine, actually in the Subaru Legacy, I know that engine so well, and I'm so generally pleased with that engine and how easy it is to service that's the engine I'm going to want in the van if I need a new engine. So I'm going to cut this video off now, and hopefully everything will be alright.